Hello, I'm Kippy from kippyathome.com. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to create this beautiful tulip wreath. It's just in time for spring. Won't it be gorgeous on your front door? Let's get started. For our supplies, we just need tulips. We need a form, some floral picks, and ribbon, scissors, and wire. I did use a little hot glue, but we'll get to that in a second. So gather up your supplies. Your complete supply list will be listed in the description below. This wreath form was originally $29.99 with this silver wrapped around it, but it really is just a foam core with this ribbon. And so I got it on a huge bargain and picked it up, and it's a Christmas thing. So you can use these other items that you have, but a foam, you can use foam core, wreath form, you could use one that is the straw. So don't worry about that. If you have something that you've used before, we can give it an upcycle. To cover my form, I used ribbon, and I did notice as I was going around and around with it that it kept tangling. So I decided to pull off a good length of it and just continue that so I wouldn't have to keep untwisting it, and it made it a lot easier. Here's the straw form that I was mentioning earlier. That one will work just as well, and you can just do the same thing, just cover it with your ribbon. I ran out of ribbon, so I trimmed it on the back to make sure that where I marry the two pieces, the next piece to it will be hidden on the back of my wreath. And it really wouldn't matter. It could be on the front, but it would be harder to put the picks in, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So just marry them together, fold them over, make them a little bit neat, and stick a floral pick in there. Once I reached the end, I folded under so I wouldn't have any raw edges and just put another floral pin in there. And I'm ready to get decorating. Before I start adding my florals, I wanted to add a hanger. And it is just a hanger of wire because I don't want to use anything else to hang it because I just want it to be all about those beautiful tulips. So I'm just using floral wire, and I'll put in the description below the products I'm using so you don't have to go hunting around for them. So I'm just making a little loop there for me to hang this. It turned out really well. To begin adding my florals, I cut them away from the bush and then used my fingers and pushed all the greenery up to the bottom of the flowers. I did notice that some of these come off, and they have, when I cut them away from the bush, there are 3 blossoms on them, and some have 2, which becomes important if you put 3 picks into one loop of ribbon, and they have, so you would end up with 9, and then you use 3, and they only have 2 in each one, and then you only have 6. So that is going to make a difference too. So I didn't really pay attention to that till I got into it a little bit deeper. So it's just a little tip there before you get going to kind of mix up how many blossoms are on the stems as well. I decided I would use some lighter colored tulips too, but in the same color, so they are all pinks. So they go from hot pink to really pale pink. And on the lighter pink bush, they go from like medium pink to pale pink. So you can mix those in too, and you get a great variation. On the darker pink one, they go from kind of medium dark pink to really dark hot pink. So you do have some variation even in the bushes, the different bushes themselves. As I continued around, I kind of started at the one end, and then I added some at the other, and I tried to get the variation color. I was just trying to see what worked. And then I did pull out some of my original hot pink ones and added some lighter ones in. So that's the joy of this. If you don't use hot glue on all of it, then you can even adjust it after you hang it. It's really a great idea for changing this up. And next year I could add some other colors in or completely change it and make it a different color altogether. I was so excited about making this wreath. I've been planning it for several years. So when I got about halfway, I realized that it was really taking a long time by looking at each pick and trying to figure it all out. So I thought I'd give you a little tip here. I think you should just cut them apart before you get going. Like cut a good deal of them apart, maybe not all of them, but enough that you probably have like 4 or 5 of these picks cut apart and put into piles according to their color. And as you can see with the lighter one, I have the lightest ones in the middle of my wreath form, and then to the left I have those medium ones, as I mentioned before. So this just seemed to help, and I hope it'll help you too. This little area where I ended the ribbon is a little troublesome because there's no place to add the picks in unless you make them really, really long. And so what I found is I used a few floral pins and they held them in there. And then I made them longer to cover that little area. It's not a problem. It's just a little variation of what I've done. But I also found that at the very, where there were areas where you could see through them, and then some of my little tulip blossoms had fallen off and couldn't figure out where they went back to, I just used a little hot glue and added them into those little areas. It worked out perfect. It's really simple, and it was fast, and it's gorgeous. One of the other thing I did was once I hung my wreath, I took a look at it, and then I moved some things around right after I hung it. It makes it the easiest, so you're not looking down at it, but how someone will look at it when they come to your door. So, and I even added a few more floral picks in there. So a few more flowers were added after I hung it. So that makes it like easier. And you want to make sure that all of your tulips are going in the same direction. And then you end up with this glorious showstopper, really. It's just super simple. No bow required, no special skills, and you have something that is really designer gorgeous. All right, y'all, I hope you're having a great spring so far, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, and I will see you soon.